A couple of months ago, there was a video on TikTok that went viral when somebody posted that they were looking for an eyeshadow palette that resembled these really beautiful and ethereal pool tiles. And the palettes that resemble these mystical, magical pool tiles are undoubtedly iridescent eyeshadow palettes. I've got 6 palettes, a few of which are newer and a few of which are older, and I'm gonna swatch them and show demos with all of them. As many of you know, I love having fun with my makeup, and I never have more fun than when I'm playing with shades like these. First, we have a brand new palette from LH Cosmetics. This is called the Aurora palette, and this is a little shimmer quad filled with iridescent eyeshadows. LH Cosmetics is named after the founder, Linda Hallberg, who is a makeup artist. She does lots of really inspiring editorial looks, so I definitely recommend checking out her work. The packaging is cardboard, which from a practicality side, I really appreciate. It's very travel friendly. It costs $46, so definitely on the pricier side, but I think anytime that you're talking about eyeshadows that have very special pigments in them, the prices just are going to be a little bit higher by nature of that. Here is what all 4 shades look like swatched on my fingertips, and here's what all 4 shades look like swatched on the back of my hand. I think that what people are going to really enjoy about these shades is that they are kind of neutral, everyday friendly iridescence, and don't get me wrong, they're intense, they're glowy, but I wouldn't say they're overly bright. All of these shades are very high impact. I would say they have a medium sparkle size, and they don't feel at all flaky. With almost all of the formulas I'm talking about today, you're going to want to use a glitter primer if you're using it all over the lid. For my first look, I'm playing around with the shade Aura, and I think a lot of people are going to love this shade because basically it's like an iridescent version of one of those blue-brown duochromes, like Fembot, Solstice, and Blushing Lizard. So I thought I would top it over a brown eyeshadow on my lids and on my lips, and I love the way that this look came out. It's easy, but it's also fun and interesting, which is basically my favorite kind of look. A look doesn't have to be complicated to be fun and impactful. And then for my second look, I actually used the other 3 shades. I really just wanted to get a feel for this palette. I used that grungy gold green on the lid and my halo eye, and then the orangey iridescent on my lips and on my cheeks. And I put the pinky red iridescent on my inner corner and brow bone. And at this point, my opinion of this palette is still just kind of a first impression, but I can tell you that I'm impressed and I'm excited to play around with this some more. Next, we have a palette from Cleona, and this actually has not quite launched yet. It's launching on August 13th, and I did do a whole dedicated video for this palette already, but I've been able to play around with it a little bit more, and I want to give you even more thoughts and some other looks. The palette cost about $77 US, and you can use a discount affiliate code. Mine is GLAMSMITTY. I'm going to pop it up on the screen. In this palette, you get 10 really intense iridescent multichromes, and I can appreciate that you get a full rainbow spectrum in this palette. For sure, if you're someone who's new to iridescence, then this is a kind of palette that's a great place to start, especially if you want a good variety of shades. I also like the fact that not all of these iridescents are white based. In fact, only a couple of them are. I find that makes it very approachable to a wide range of skin tones because you have so many shades that aren't gonna cause a white cast. For my first look, I'm just going in with a matte purple eyeshadow and then topping over that with a bunch of the warmer tone iridescents, just creating a little bit of a gradient. And I think you can see that it's very easy to play with these iridescents just by layering them on each other in different ways. I put one of the pink iridescents on my nose and on my cheeks and lips. And here is the first final look. And for my second look, I just wanted to see if I could take Feeling Sky High, which is a really pretty purple iridescent, and use it as an all-over highlight. The texture of some of these iridescents, this shade included, is a little bit flakier. And what that meant for me is that I just had to sort of melt it into the skin a little bit more with my fingertips. But once I did that, I thought it looked super beautiful. I had also created this third eye look with the palette. I just wanted to show you how versatile this type of iridescent eyeshadow palette truly is. Now I have 2 palettes that I'm going to talk about from Dieverune. And I know I've talked about these palettes several times before, but hey, it's for good reason. This is Dewdrops 1 that came out last year, and it has, I would say, an overall light and ethereal vibe. And I know that I've talked about the drop highlight several times before, but in this palette you actually get an eyeshadow pan size of that shade, and it will last you a good time. What's really unique about that shade is how smooth in texture it is. I think that's part of what lends itself to making such a seamless face highlight. One of these iridescent shades that I just swatched has multicolored rainbow sparkles throughout, and then the last one is a very fiery toned iridescent shade. And here I'm just going to show you a little tutorial of a very easy look that I did a while ago. You can see that all you need to do is lay down a matte shadow or a statement eyeliner, then layer a bunch of iridescence, and it looks like you put so much more time into your look than you actually did. And then I'm going to show you the demo that I did with the drop highlighter. The drop highlighter is the exact same shade drop that's in this palette. It is just such a stunning shade. Just look at how it glows on the skin. It took my breath away the first time I saw it. Then we have Dewdrops 2, and this is basically the second iteration of Dewdrops 1. It just came out a few months ago. It's the exact same type of concept that Dewdrops 1 is, but the shades are totally different. And I thought the iridescence in Dewdrops 1 were intense, but the ones in Dewdrops 2 are even more so. In this palette, you have several more shades that are really on par in terms of intensity to the drop shade. And I think you'll see exactly what I mean when you see me use these shades in some looks. First, I use that split pan blue iridescent, and look how magical and glowy it is, just paired with a black shadow. That second row in the palette really brought the heat. Then I took this fiery toned iridescent and I wanted to use it as a face highlight. The thing I really love about iridescent eyeshadows is that they become about 20 times more magical when you see them swatched and applied. And then lastly, we took this shade that has a really kind of pale lavender base and a really strong green shift. The texture of this one is very smooth, just like the shade Drop from the first palette. Every time I use the Dewdrops 2 palette, I end up speechless. This one ends up looking like just a really glowy green highlight. Dewdrops 1 is $59, while Dewdrops 2 is $62, and you can use a non-affiliate code to save. The next palette I'm going to talk about is from Cloudicos. Cloudicos is one of my favorite Australian brands, and they actually came out with a palette entirely inspired by that pool tile post that I was talking about at the beginning. The fact that they were able to put this palette together so quickly is very remarkable. And I do have a discount code with the brand, so I'm going to go ahead and pop it up on the screen. I'm not sure if this palette is still available. I'm secretly hoping that they're going to come back with it and make it permanent, but I don't know yet. And I do just want to mention that in terms of texture, this formula is pretty smooth. It does have a little bit of emollients to it, so just something to keep in mind if that type of texture doesn't work as well on your lids. But the nice thing about this formula is that I really did find that multiple shades worked as beautiful face highlights. I think that holographic shade addition was so cool. That one actually ended up being my very favorite shade in the palette. It packs a lot of punch, and it also pairs super beautifully with several of those iridescent shadows. And I'm going to show you a look that I did using that holographic shade as my kind of show-stopping, all over the lid sparkly shadow. Then for my second kind of look slash demo, I'm taking that really glowy blue purple. This is the exact kind of iridescent that I love using as a face highlighter. Smooth, bright, glowy. All of these shades that I've shown you do have some sparkle in them, but depending on the texture, some of the shades really do lend themselves well to being able to be used as highlights. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to talk about a palette that I'm brand new to called the Colorgram Tin Tin Dory palette, and this palette is called Glitter Dory. I have talked about Colorgram before, especially in some of my other lip videos, but they are a K-beauty brand. They have an absolutely adorable aesthetic, and this palette cost, I want to say, just around $25 on Amazon. You get 4 iridescents in them, and these iridescents are not as high impact as some of the others that I've shown, but they're very glowy, they're approachable, they're affordable, and the smooth texture on them makes it so that they're easy to be used in a variety of different ways. I think that this palette is really a great value, and it's one that I'm definitely going to keep using. I'm very curious if they have any other palettes in this format. Okay, now that you've had a chance to see me go through my iridescent eyeshadow palettes, the ones that I feel resemble that pool tile vibe, I hope you found this video and guide of sorts to be helpful. Personally, I feel like I could make this same video a few months down the line and we'd see even more of these kind of pool tile inspired palettes, and honestly, I'm here for it. If you have any questions at all, make sure to leave them in the comments. I'd also love to hear if you've tried and loved on any other iridescent palettes. As always, I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.